The United States is readying itself for Donald Trump's second turn at bat, returning to the White House this coming January. With cabinet picks arriving at record speeds and an agenda built on 4 years of reflections, what does the first 100 days look like? We're going to discuss that and more right now on UBS Trending. Hi, everyone, and welcome to UBS Trending. I'm Anthony Pastore. Thank you very much for joining us. Please join me in welcoming to the studio Frank Kelly, Chief Political Strategist at DWS. Frank, good to have you here with me.
Great to be here.
So we're a couple of weeks after the election. Now we've seen that the Republicans hold the majority, although slim when it comes to you looking at the House and the Senate. We're going to get to that in a minute. But, you know, we're seeing these cabinet appointments. Anybody who's watching the news and paying attention, it's 4 times faster than Trump did the first time around and 5 times faster than what President Biden did 4 years ago. What's driving this unprecedented speed, and should investors be concerned, or what should they be paying attention to?
I don't think they should be concerned, but I think they should be paying attention to this. This is a unique moment in history, right? We've never in our lifetime had a president who's coming back for a second term after being defeated. And this is a guy who spent the last 4 years, I would propose, reflecting on what worked and what didn't work in his first term. And also understanding government better, understanding policy better, because he was determined to run again. So I refer to this, everybody talks about this as Trump 2.0. I think it's smarter to be thinking of this as Trump 4.0 at hyperspeed.
Yeah. So essentially doubling that sort of feeling like his second time around, it's not really an exact second time because he has so much more information at his disposal.
And it's how little time he has, right? Because he's a lame duck. He can't run again. So the word is he's been actually telling people in the transition, we don't have 4 years, we have 2. In 2 years, we could lose control of either chamber of the House or both. And in 2 years, the American public begins looking at who's running in 2028.
So how is all of that showing up in his early moves? Obviously, we look at the cabinet picks, but I would imagine that he and his staff are already putting their agenda together for the first 100 days in the White House after the inauguration.
Exactly, right? So you look at, first off, the speed, and you referenced this, at 4 or 5 times as fast as Biden and Obama. And he's pushing. But it's not just the cabinet, it's the sub-cabinet, it's other critical agencies, it's regulators. He's naming them all. Normally, you don't see that until February, March. They have a slow process. No, he wants this done, and he's pressing Congress, the Republican leadership, get ready, guys, we're moving. And so very specifically to that, he's already talking to them about the tax bill. What is it going to be, 2 years, 4 years? They've been meeting over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Markets haven't picked up on this. They're discussing and debating this. They're getting ready. They get sworn in January 3rd. President Trump gets sworn in January 20th. He wants them to work extremely hard and actually try and get legislation on his desk to sign on January 20th. We've never seen that before.
Jeez. I mean, and as we know, the current tax reform bill doesn't expire until the end of 2025.
Right.
So we're talking about the same thing here. He wants this done in January, which we know everything in politics takes months. But you know, then it has to go to everyone's desks, and it goes to the Senate, it goes to the House.
But I think he's going to push. Look, I think it's going to be virtually impossible for them to have that tax bill and the budget bill done by the end of January. But he's pushing them as soon as possible. Is it possible that we get this done in February? Yes.
Wow.
So you're talking about a reconciliation package, right? That weird thing which, for all you golfers who are listening to this, I refer to it as sort of the version, it's like a mulligan, right? Where you can pass this thing, you can't filibuster it, and you can only use it one time. It's kind of that. And that you will have the budget and the tax bill, and they will try and jam this thing through as fast as possible. That's big for the markets, for fixed income, in terms of where the deficit is, and very important for corporate and certainly individuals on the tax side.
Yeah, talk about getting ahead of it in record speed as well. Like you said, for the markets themselves and for the analysts and investors out there to actually have a sense of knowing where it's going months before we probably would have expected in the first place. It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. One other thing, I've never seen a incoming president meeting with foreign leaders. You had the Prime Minister of Canada down there. He's having phone calls with everybody. He's not waiting. And therefore, anybody who's looking at this impacted in any way by tax or regulation, put on your helmet and buckle up, because he's going to be moving as hard and as fast and harder and faster, I would argue, than any other president we've seen in recent history.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because you do have, like you said, he had those 4 years in between now with President Biden almost coming to the end of his term to really consider what went wrong or right his first 4 years, according to his constituents, and how the election went in 2016.
Exactly.
So he's had all this time. It's not like jumping right from first term to second term.
Exactly.
It's an interesting way to look at something, like you said, we haven't seen it in our lifetimes.
Yes, exactly.
So with tax reform, et cetera, what should we be watching more closely out for? I mean, you said it might be a boon for the fixed income markets, or, for example, but what should investors be paying attention to if we do see this tax bill get reconciled and rectified sometime before spring of 2025?
Keep close to your advisor. I got to tell you, right? It's like, stay with the park ranger when you're walking through the park, which has a lot of bears, because there's a lot of bears all of a sudden, right? This was all safe territory. Everybody's thinking we're gonna have a nice quiet Christmas. We'll get into the new year. We'll slowly get going again in January. Nope, it's coming.
It's
right?
Go, 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 go.
And so pay attention to what just read the papers, see what they're talking about on tax reform, because it is coming. And I'm sure you guys at UBS are always ahead of the curve on this. Stay close.
Yeah, we definitely will. And of course, we always encourage our investors and clients to talk to their FAs. So thanks for reminding them of that, Frank. But just, you did describe this as a 2-year window, and it's possible that that is the case. We could see, as historically, a lot of times in those midterms, if you have one party controlling everything, by the midterms, usually the voters are thinking, well, maybe we need to have some more checks and balances. So really, there is a potentially 2-year window. So I would imagine, besides tax reform and the budget, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more legislation likely being pushed by Trump and his staff.
And the idea of having Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy with this, look, they're not a department in a classic sense, but they are advisors to the president. And they're going to come up with a list. We've seen this happen before. This happened in the Reagan administration. Mm-hmm. W.R. Grace, the Grace Commission. Okay, that was great. Even if you get 10% of those $2 trillion cuts, these guys are very good at selling, both Vivek and Elon. They're going to be out there making clear to the American public, these are wastes of money. This is how we can save money. This is how we're going to bring that will be the other thing. And that will be an ongoing battle, I would argue, over the next 2 years, which could seriously reshape the federal government and how we are doing things.
Incredible. Yeah, there's a lot that we're going to have to pay attention to for the reasons that you're saying. And as we keep reminding everybody, it is happening at significantly faster speeds than we've ever seen. So there's a lot that we have to catch up to very quickly.
Very quickly. I mean, we are in a communications age that is, when we're so used to it at this point because we're texting and everything else.
Sure.
Now it's hit government.
Yeah.
Right? Donald Trump tweets something out at 10:30. Boom. The markets are all over it the next morning.
That's right.
He is moving things. So this is where we are. And we have people, the head of Twitter is now advising on how to cut back the government.
That's right.
You think he's not going to use that platform to really detail where we can cut? We'll have that debate. Maybe some of these things shouldn't be done. Maybe they should. But I think that's the fascinating new aspect of this, is that we can really drill into this. It doesn't take months. It doesn't take years. It'll take days.
Days.
And you put artificial intelligence into this in terms of cutting the numbers, analyzing everything else. Again, we're talking seconds, minutes, instead of days and weeks.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface on that discussion, which is how does AI, or the future of AI and, generative AI and all these, kind of large language models, how is that going to potentially impact legislation and the speed of which we could expect to be, like you said, in just a day, you could have so much that changes because of the technology.
In the arcane world of lobbying, what does this do for lobbying in terms of analysis of a piece of legislation that's written, and you bring artificial intelligence to come in and analyze the cost-benefit analysis? How many jobs will be impacted positively and negatively? What would take months and months at a think tank will take minutes, days, a day at most.
Yeah.
This changes how lobbying works. So all of a sudden, we could see an injection of speed into what has always been the slow molasses roll of how legislation or even regulation is done.
I think most people think of anything happening in the government as trying to turn the Titanic around, but I think it's going to turn into more like trying to turn a jet ski around, which happens in a half a second.
That's right, and it can flip if you don't do it right.
God, that's perfect way to end our conversation, Frank. Thank you very much. Good stuff. Love having you here.
Thank you for having
Come
me.
see us again soon. Thank you,
Love to.
Frank Kelly from DWS, Chief Political Strategist, and thank you all for joining us. There's lots more information coming out of UBS our Chief Investment Office, and our great partners like DWS at our Insights website at ubs.com/views. Plus, you can follow UBS on social media. We're on all the major channels, including Instagram. Follow us at UBS Trending. Lots of UBS Studios content there for you to check out. And as always, if you have any questions about what Frank and I spoke about today, make sure you're talking with your financial advisor. Until next time, I'm Anthony Pastore. Have a great rest of your day, and remember to keep your eyes on what's trending. We'll see you soon, everybody.